Friday, everybody. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. A very active pattern does persist with more heavy rain and severe weather across the northern states and a persistent, very extreme heat wave that continues across the southern United States through the long-term period, as well as your full tropical weather update in today's video. If you are not a new subscriber to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on all of my daily weather updates on this channel. I cover North America, including southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics on this channel. So make sure you are subscribed, and it's very important to press the thumbs up button. It helps to get all of this information out to as many people as possible. I really do appreciate all of the help out there with getting this information to more and more people. But let's start here with the tropical weather update first in today's video because it is very quiet across the North Atlantic. We have tropical systems, or at least tropical waves that are moving off of Africa, but the wind shear is in the way, and the National Hurricane Center is agreeing that no new tropical cyclones are expected over the next 7-day period. It's very quiet across this region and will continue to be so because of the wind shear. So you're looking at the European model's wind shear here, and look at the Eastern Caribbean, look at the parts of the MDR region. It just doesn't have a chance to survive into the Lesser Antilles, into the Caribbean, or even into the Gulf because of all of this wind shear. You could have the warmest water temperatures possible, and if you have all the wind shear, you just can't have any tropical systems. That, however, could change as we get closer toward the second half here of August. The Climate Prediction Center, the experts there, are forecasting at least a little bit more favorability here once we get into the August 16th through the 22nd time frame, back into the main development region and maybe as far west as the Lesser Antilles. But it's not until we get toward about August 23rd to the last couple of days of August here, August 29th, 30th time frame, where we start to see a little bit more activity trying to get going across the Western Atlantic, getting into the Caribbean here at times and closer to the southeast coast. Now, this is the experimental week 3 outlook, so this could still change, but it's just something to keep an eye on through the long-term period, especially when looking at these sea surface temperatures, folks. This is in degrees Celsius. Anything you see that's 26 degrees or warmer Celsius is actually 80 degrees Fahrenheit or warmer. So, and you see 30s here into the Gulf of Mexico, 30s into the Western Caribbean, 30s into the Western Atlantic. That is into the 90s Fahrenheit, folks. So any system we're going to have to watch if this does start to develop in toward late August, early September time frame across the West Atlantic, the Caribbean, or the Gulf as it moves closer. We'll just have to keep an eye on it. But as of now, over the next 7 days, very quiet across the North Atlantic, the Caribbean, and the Gulf of Mexico. Now turning closer to home, we have, of course, more heat headlines across the southern United States here. Relentless heat wave down here. I know a lot of folks have been like, where is all this cool weather at? When are we going to have a cool down? Well, unfortunately, we have more excessive heat warnings, more heat advisories here in the orange and pink shaded colors. And unfortunately, even some red flag warnings where the soil has just dried out substantially across especially central and southern Texas here. And that I don't see changing anytime soon. The reason being is because look at the weather pattern today. We have the high pressure ridge centered across Texas here and the southern plains, and it's not going anywhere even through this weekend. So on Saturday, August 12th into Sunday, August 13th, if anything, this heat's going to build across the west and even the Pacific Northwest is going to eventually, especially by Sunday, get in on the extreme heat up here into Washington State, Oregon, Northern California as we get toward later this weekend. So let's kind of view some of these temperatures here. So looking at today's high temperatures this afternoon, yeah, it's going to be a squelching heat wave across this region. 110 here into the Wichita Falls region, 106 in Dallas-Fort Worth, and 100 in Oklahoma City, 102 in Amarillo in the panhandle of Texas this afternoon. It's still hot up here into Kansas with a couple 100-degree high temperatures and some upper 90s, but not nearly as hot as it is down here into the Lone Star State of Texas or even into portions of Louisiana. But watch as we go into Saturday. Yeah, we still see much of the same, but watch the Pacific Northwest start to warm up here in parts of those lower elevations getting in towards the 90s there into Washington State, into Oregon, Northern California, approaching into the lower 100s on Saturday. And on Sunday, it starts to really heat up near the coastline there of the West Coast. And yeah, we're seeing more 100-degree temperatures across Texas into Oklahoma. So much of the same, copy and paste day to day here through the weekend with your high temperatures down here, but a refreshing cool down through the weekend up to the north. Temperatures will be in the 70s, the 80s, and who knows, even some rain cooled upper 60s for highs up here into eastern North Dakota, northern Minnesota forecasted for your Sunday afternoon time frame. But let's look at the Pacific Northwest here, especially for Sunday. Look at the high temperatures here, warming up well into the 90s in eastern and southeastern Washington State, well into the 90s, approaching 100 degrees here into western portions of Oregon, low to mid 100s here into Northern California, 109 there. So it's going to get pretty hot as we go through the weekend, even across the Pacific Northwest. So make sure to stay hydrated all across these areas, whether you live in the Pacific Northwest, the Pacific Southwest, the Southern Plains, or the Southeast. Just make sure to stay hydrated out there so you don't get cramped up or anything like that. Also, moving ahead, we have a very active weather pattern ahead for some more heavy rain and especially severe weather. Today's outlook from the Storm Prediction Center highlights a slight risk across portions of the upper Midwest down into the Missouri Valley. This covers a large area from the Twin Cities, Minneapolis region down through La Crosse here, Milwaukee, Chicago, down to St. Louis here, and then back west toward Kansas City. Scattered severe weather events are possible. Not everybody in the dark green or yellow is going to see severe weather, so I do want to note that everybody is not going to see severe weather in the yellow shaded color today, but there is a chance of an isolated brief spin up tornado if you live in southern Wisconsin. I'd say from the Madison region down into north central Illinois, so Chicago, Rockford, down toward Peoria, and then back toward the Davenport Quad Cities, Kirksville, Missouri, as we go into the afternoon and evening. So that'll be something we'll be keeping an eye on. And just looking at some of the parameters here today, we do have moderate CAPE values. The CAPE does drop off further to the north. That's your convective available potential energy. So we have lower CAPE to the north, higher CAPE to the south, around 3,000 joules per kilogram down here into Missouri and southern Illinois. So we have more of a high shear, low CAPE environment across our upper Midwestern regions like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and northern Illinois, but then we have more of a low shear, high CAPE environment across Missouri into southern Illinois. So a little bit more of a double-edged sword there. Just pick your poison type of severe weather day. Right now, my focus will probably be on areas from Iowa into northern Illinois for the most impressive severe weather. That's where that tornado risk is, but really, I mean, the storm coverage today is not going to be that impressive. So this afternoon, we're just waiting, we're watching for the severe weather here across the Midwest. A couple cells could pop up across central Missouri, central Minnesota, down through Iowa here into western and northwestern Missouri into the afternoon. These probably won't get going that strong, but we could see some hail with these as we go through later this afternoon. It's more so into the evening. I think mid to late evening hours we start to get going with these scattered clusters of storms. And again, you see spaces in here, so not everybody will see storms, but we could be seeing some large hail, quarter size, golf ball size at times. We could also be seeing some 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts and an isolated brief tornado, especially from southern Wisconsin through north central Illinois into southeast Iowa and northeast Missouri. That'll be the area of focal point for tornado genesis through this evening. And then even into early Saturday morning, we still see that slowly drifting off to the east southeast with some potentially severe weather, but I think the severe weather at this point will start to weaken in its intensity and even the coverage of severe weather early Saturday morning as it's more of an unfavorable time of day across this region. Then as we go into Saturday, all of the energy pushes off to the east, or at least most of the energy does. We have portions of New York State, western Massachusetts here getting in towards Connecticut, Long Island getting down here into portions of northern New Jersey, north central Pennsylvania, back into the eastern Ohio Valley here for the potential of some severe weather. Again, not everybody will see severe weather on Saturday across this region, but still keeping an eye on that. And we have another slight risk down here into the southwestern plains here across southeast Colorado, southwest Kansas, the Oklahoma and Texas panhandle as we go into Saturday. And looking at the highest coverage of storms on Saturday, again, another later day event, late afternoon into the mid evening hours will probably be the highest coverage of showers and storms and thus severe weather. So across the Northeast, that's what you can expect, some scattered coverage of strong to severe storms, mainly a damaging wind and a large hail risk. The tornado threat is overwhelmingly low. And then across portions of the southwestern plains, I think the tornado threat's a little bit more heightened here, but still damaging winds and large hail will be the main mode of severe weather going through your Saturday evening time frame. And then with the next shortwave on the shortwave train is on Sunday. We have another decent looking shortwave. You can see the divot here. This is the vorticity. This shows the spin in the atmosphere as it moves from portions of the northern plains down into the upper Midwest. And this really starts to tighten up on Monday as kind of like a cinnamon bun looking low pressure system across the western Great Lakes on Monday. And then this starts to lose its organization as it pushes across southeast Canada and into New England as we go into Tuesday. And then there you go. We see another system trying to move into the western Canadian prairies as we go into Tuesday. And that'll be diving down into the Midwest or in the middle of next week. More on that in just a moment. So looking here on Sunday, another threat of severe weather, Paducah to St. Louis, back here to Kansas City, the Topeka region, Springfield, Missouri, maybe up as far north as Omaha here with that slight risk of severe weather. There is a potential, I think, for this day to be upgraded to an enhanced risk as we get closer, as the mesoscale details become more clear. But then as we go further east on Monday, we have a slight risk as well from West Virginia, including the Charleston region, Columbus and Cincinnati there in Ohio, getting down into Louisville, Lexington, Kentucky, the Jackson, Kentucky region, and then maybe as far south as the Nashville region toward the Cumberland Plateau as we go in toward that Monday time frame. Then the next shortwave moves down, and this one actually looks to have a little bit more legs with it. At least some of the medium range guidance is trending that way. This is the European high resolution guidance from 0Z last night with all the balloon data, and it does actually show a pretty strong low pressure system, a sub 990 millibar low dropping in from Saskatchewan and southwestern Manitoba down into the Dakotas on Wednesday the 16th. And then look at this spiral here across portions of the upper Midwest, dropping a strong cold front through portions of the Great Lakes region and the lower Midwest by Thursday afternoon on the 17th. And this could be trouble. Again, we have a very strong mid-level jet here already showing up for Thursday, the 17th. You see a very strong travel of jet stream across this region. And we do see a pretty formidable and very notable low-level jet already in the medium-range guidance. So this is a day we're going to have to watch out for, I think, Wednesday into Thursday for the next significant system to move across the United States. So looking at the precipitation on Wednesday, it looks like a broken line of probably some supercells up here across eastern Dakotas into northwestern Minnesota. We're going to have to keep an eye on this. Stronger shear with a 987 millibar low up here across those regions on Wednesday. And then depending on the timing and the strength of the system on Thursday, we could be seeing another line of severe weather from the UP of Michigan down through lower Michigan there, Wisconsin into northern central Illinois, and then maybe as far south and west here as Iowa and Missouri as we go into Thursday timeframe. So that will be something to keep an eye on toward the middle and late portion of next week. I will keep you updated on that. Looking long range though, do I really have to tell you what the high temperatures are going to be like? August 18th through the 24th, when you see above normal down here, you know it's going to be in the triple digits. I don't even have to tell you. You already know it's going to be well into the triple digits across portions of Kansas here, Oklahoma, Texas, and then across the Gulf Coast for the most part. Yes, we're going to see above normal temperatures toward the second half of August across the Midwest and the Northeast. We may start to warm up a little bit beyond here, but that's what we're going to have to keep an eye on. But then looking at the precipitation front, it looks like we're going to start to see a small little pattern change as we get into the third week in August with more above average precipitation for our western zones across the Rockies and the West Coast, and more below normal continuing across Texas and on up into the Ohio Valley as we go in towards that third week into August. And it's some good news that we are seeing above normal chances for precipitation across the West, because we do need the rainfall out here. We have moderate and even severe drought developing across portions of Washington state, Oregon, portions of northern Idaho, Montana, getting down into the Four Corners region, southern Nevada, getting into southern California. That's just something we're going to have to watch out for. Hopefully, we can get some precipitation in the long term to alleviate the drought conditions across those areas. Well, if you want to follow me for additional weather forecast updates on X, you can follow me. It's down below in the description. The link to X is there at hweather420. I do update on that platform fairly frequently. Otherwise, thank you so much for all the support and watching my weather videos every single day. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of my daily weather forecast updates across North America, including southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics on this channel. Be sure to press the like button, the thumbs up button, as it helps to get all of this information out to as many people as possible. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today, and I hope everybody has a great weekend out there.